I've heard it my entire career, man. My entire musical career. I don't understand what people like him with Barlow's vocals. I don't either, man. But and I feel the same way as a listener. There are some vocalists that people absolutely freaking love, and I'm just like, it doesn't really do it for me. So I understand that. It's all about the ear, right? I mean, it's about what is pleasant to our ears as a listener. So if my voice doesn't get it for some people, I totally get it. And I've heard it. I've heard it my entire career. It's like he's too nasally. He sounds like Paul Stanley. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. I'll take all those. I got no problem with sounding like Paul Stanley. If I could have like a tenth of his wealth, I would be happy.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the great Matt Barlow of Ashes of Aries. How you doing, Matt?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me on.
Ah, man, my pleasure, man. I can't believe it's been you're on your fourth record, and I still find people like, wait, he's still making music? I'm like, yeah, he never stopped. It's like you've put out like in the last 20 years since, hell, let's start at, yeah, you left Ice Earth the first time, you had your new career as in law enforcement. You still managed to put out 6 or 7 records. So it's not like you disappeared. It's like people just didn't know where to find you.
I guess, yeah, and maybe that's my bad. Maybe I wasn't out there, promoting as much. But you know how it is, man. If it's not paid promotion on Facebook or whatever, people don't see stuff sometimes. Yeah, no, I've actually put out more records since I've been in law enforcement than before I became a police officer. So it's kind of nutty. I was thinking about that. Studio records, anyway. There's been different things, but yeah, definitely studio records have been more in the last 22 years since I've been in law enforcement.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that the Paramaze record.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I still look very fondly upon that, and still have friends from that band. So that's awesome too.
That's good, man. It's good to like keep. It's good like never to like burn bridges and just like hey, you helped them out at the right time. They needed a vocalist, and you did an amazing job on that record. But now we're just talking about your main baby, Ashes of Aries. So four records in, man. Wow. I was like, New Messiah. It's a banger, man. I was a little nervous because I was like, oh no, Van's not doing the drums. But Kyle did a damn good job. Like, where'd you find Kyle?
Yeah, he did. So Kyle's a longtime friend of Freddie's, and they were in a death metal band together back in the day, and Kyle kept his chops up, and so it just worked out really well because he lives around Freddie, so they were able to actually work out the songs together. As far as Freddie obviously created the songs and did primary drum tracks and things like that as we were writing, but he was really able to get with Kyle and kind of tell him exactly what we needed, and he brought it. So it was really good, man.
Yeah, I feel like all right, it definitely was a new drummer, but it still felt like it still stayed in the same vein that Van laid down the foundation. It's still like all right, it's not like whoa, it wasn't completely radical. It just like this fits perfectly fine.
Yeah, and then I think that's part of it, man. I mean, certainly Van is an amazing freaking drummer, as we all know, and he's got his own unique sound, and I think that you definitely hear that any project that he's in, that it's Van, man, because he's got all kinds of stuff. Kyle's a little more straightforward and intentionally so. I think we went, we're gonna go straightforward with this. We're not gonna try to bring Van 2.0 or whatever with this. We're going to just do what we do and allow Kyle to just be who Kyle is and just play straightforward and not try to be somebody else. So you can, like you said, you can hear there's a new drummer, but it doesn't deviate from what the music is and what it's supposed to be. So that was our point.
Thankfully, he wasn't a distraction. He just emphasized what you guys already did.
Right. That's the point, right?
Yeah. So now it's been like over a decade. This band has been been a thing. Like, how has your writing with Freddie evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's been really good, man. It really has. It's really an evolution, right? So the idea is really since we started, we've been writing a song. We started writing one song together in person, and that was "This Is My Hell," and that was from the first record. But everyone since then, it's really all been sharing files back and forth, talking on the phone, emailing, texting, as we're building these, and it's just basically put it back and forth, and that's how we've built it, and it works out well for us because obviously we live on two different sides of the country, and it's really the only way that we can do it without and be efficient at it. We could probably get together, here and there and, do some stuff, but then it would take, 3 or 4 hours to get a record out. And it seems like that sometimes for us anyway, even with this situation, but it just works out better for us because we record primarily all of our parts in our home studios outside of the drums, which, got Kyle into the studio and did the drum tracks and all that. But as we're writing these songs and laying everything down and having it click tracked along the way so that we can put drums in and everything links up properly. We just build these in our own studios. So it's just a matter of sending things back and forth, tweaking things. We have we got no egos. So if one of us says, "Hey man, that's not working," and we're like, "Okay, boom, that's out," and we'll move on and we'll do something different. Or if this part's not working, we'll take that out, we'll replace it with something. And much the same way, if we feel really strongly about something, then we got each other's back. We just go, "Okay, cool." For instance, and I've talked about this before, just because it's. And I can't remember which song it is, but there's a bass line, and I had done a vocal part over it, and Freddie was like, man, I really like this bass line to kind of be the bridge, the transition, and I think it's really cool. And I'm like, cool, man, I'll take that bit out. That's no problem. If it's, I don't even think it was like a big lyrical piece. It didn't really, it wasn't like a super important part of that, and I ended up wording things in a different way in a different part of the song. So I think he was right. At the end of the day, he's right. Let the song breathe. This bass part's really cool, and like so. With that stuff, it's just a matter of, hey man, can we do this or can we do that? And we don't fight, we don't argue. And maybe that's because we live across the country from each other. So everything that we do for the love of the song, and ultimately we're trying to get the best song. And I think that we respect each other as as gentlemen and as artists enough to not let egos get in the way of creating the songs. And that's I think that's the thing that's really kept things going with us so well and so smoothly for the last 12 years.
And that's that's great. Like that, you guys, it's really nice that you found like a musical partner, basically. Yeah, essentially he's a musical partner, and it's like, hey, like, or a brother, or however you want to word it. It's like, oh, musical soulmates. It's like, wow, you've worked with some phenomenal other musicians too. And then I'm still like, every time like when Ashes comes out, it's like, oh yeah, I've had good memories of you guys. Like I said, I saw like your first New York City show at Webster Hall in 2014. So I'm day one for New York.
Awesome.
And I find it what's the right word? I can't find the, like, you have such a long history. You could have like the ego of like a maniac, but you don't. And that's a real refreshing thing, because I know a lot of people of your era. There's some other musicians in that scene, and that don't know how to not compromise is not the right word, but know how to work well with others. It's like, this is my vision and this is it. No deviation.
Yeah, and with that, some of those people I respect, and I respect that, that's who they are, right? That's just not me, man. It never has been. I'm a get along kind of guy, man. And if I'm not enjoying it, then it's not enjoyable. You know what I mean? It sucks. And so that's what I like about this so much, is that it is enjoyable. It's fun to get, Freddie sends me like little pieces and things like that. Like he'll email me, "Hey man, I got some riffs. Here's a bit of it's just cool stuff." Like, so I start vibing on it and I go, okay, I get where you're going. All right. I can work with that. I can do that. So that's just fun, man. And I think that's really important. I think it's really important to love what you do, and that's why we do it. We don't we don't make money doing this, man. It's not about that. We've got day jobs and pretty good careers, and we're on an indie label and the recording budget's not huge. So we do everything that we possibly can to stretch that dollar and make it go farther. That's why, one of the reasons why we record it. It works out better for us as well, just timing wise with our time, but it also helps because we don't have a huge budget. And so we try to make it as far as we can and make the best product that we possibly can with the limited budget that we have. And yeah, so it just, we're just happy. We're just happy that we have a label that likes us and likes to promote us and gives us any budget to really to work with and to record records. And that's awesome. But at the end of the day, we do this because we love it. We're not here making money. We know we're not, probably going to make a lot of money doing it. But if we can get enough records out there for our fans to snatch up or to download or whatever, then that's phenomenal for us.
I agree. And like I'll say, like, yeah, the budget on the record, okay, this sonically to my ears and my regular headphones, like it sounds like all the records sound consistent. It doesn't sound like, this one's. It sounds like you guys did this shit at home. It's like it doesn't sound like, even though you did do some parts at home, it doesn't sound like you guys had it mixed properly and mastered properly, and it just sounds great. Like I'm just going over like the gang vocals. It's like one, it's like the gang vocals like on like Wake Up Vultures. It's great. It's like it just sounds so full, and I gotta say like like when I listened to this whole record, like I started smiling. 'Cause I always smile when I listen to your stuff because you're a damn good singer. You're one of the best out there at what you do, and I just like love how you layer your voice. It's like the layers, the multiple trackings of your voice. It's like they all just flow together. You have like the highs in the back sometimes. You have like the mid. It's like you just have the layering of your vocals. Like I don't know where you came up with that or how you decided to like, oh, I need to do another vocal here. How does that come? Where does that come from?
Well, that may have been inspired a little bit by Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian. I don't know, but maybe just a little bit, because Hansi is the freaking master of that. But also working with Jim Morris for so many years, man, and just kind of learning little things and doing little tricks, and it would be fun. It would be fun to isolate, because I always do that. I A B it back and forth as I'm building and layering and doing harmonies and things like that. I A B it back and forth between music and no music, and it's really cool. I really enjoy it when I can hear stacked vocals like and making big choruses and things like that. It's fun to hear it just by itself, just running by itself without the music. And if it sounds good without the music, then it's going to sound really good with the music. That's the I think that's the way that I do it, and that's the reason that I A/B it back and forth, and just so that I know that it sounds good tracked, just by themselves and without any drums, guitar, bass, or anything like that. So that's really important to me. So thank you. I appreciate you, listening to that and appreciating what I'm doing there, because it's a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, like no matter it's just like a really cool thing that sometimes I see people do like the layering and stacking of vocals, but sometimes I don't see it, and it's like, oh man, it's like for your style of what you do, it works perfect. Like at least in my ears.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, I know I've seen some comments and things like that. I can't deal with the stacked vocals. I don't. I'm like, man, it's just I got to do it if it's something that it sounds good to me, then I gotta do it. So there's just some things I gotta do, and that's it. So at the end of the day, I'm doing it for me as well as other people. I just hope that other people dig what I'm doing. And I don't do it all the time, but I do it, and I enjoy it. And to me, it's my creative outlet. So it's my thing.
Agreed. But also, don't read the comments. We all know, don't read the comments. It's
Hey,
hard.
man. Yeah, you got to read them though. I mean, I got to respect people's opinion. As long as people are being respectful, I'm totally cool with it. You tell me all day long, yeah, I don't really, because I've heard it my entire career, man. My entire musical career. I don't understand what people like with Barlow's vocals. I don't either, man. But and I feel the same way. As a listener, there are some vocalists that people absolutely freaking love, and I'm just like, it doesn't really do it for me. So I understand that, it's all about the ear, right? I mean, it's about what is pleasant to our ears as a listener. So if my voice doesn't get it for some people, I totally get it, and I've heard it. I've heard it my entire career. It's like he's too nasally. He sounds like Paul Stanley. Blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. I'll take all those. I got no problem with sounding like Paul Stanley. If I could have like a tenth of his wealth, I would be happy. But it's just not for everybody, and that's fine. That's just be respectful and move on. That's cool. I'm cool with that. It's when people start getting hateful. I'm like, is that necessary? I don't know.
And like I said, I mean, yeah, anybody who's got ears and knows music, it's like, yeah, like again, since we mentioned Power Maze and I stuff, yeah, you've been in three distinct different projects. It's like, yeah, like none of them, there's a similar flow to all three bands, but they're all musically, sonically different entities. It's like, oh yeah, and that's what I appreciate about it, like because it would have been easy to make Ashes sound like like your old project, but it's like it doesn't need to. It's its own thing. I was kind of excited, and it was like I remember the first two releases you guys did. Every time it popped up, I always forgot. I was like, oh yeah, Freddie's not just a bass player; he's a guitarist. So
Well,
it's like,
hey man, Freddie's a bass player, guitarist, and a drummer, man. I mean, like I said, he writes the music and including, the drums as far as the basic drums that, are concerned. I mean, he's an amazing musician, man. And, he should get a lot more credit than he gets sometimes, but he's doing it all, man. He's doing it all.
I agree with that, man. Freddie's an unsung hero that more people need to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let me see, what do we got here. I got a bunch of questions, so we're gonna be jumping all over the place of fun
all
stuff.
right.
So I want to go for this. I want to talk about I love the fact like the album. I got the digital press version of this, so I have like the extra songs,
Right.
and I get a kick out of it because it's like labeled in there. I was like, oh wow, like you have a CD only version of this with an extra song, and it reminds me of the old days of the old Japan had the bonus tracks. It was like everybody,
Right.
and I was like, oh, like to me that's a nice little nod to the old days. It's like, oh, like yeah, CD only bonus. It's not just for Japan this time.
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, it is cool, man. It's fun. I mean, I'm it's the not necessarily our idea, but the record label's like, hey, let's do this and let's do this, and we can put out, we can do a vinyl with this because we can, get. That's the other thing with vinyl. You get as a better sound, the kind of the lesser tracks that you have on it. You just for whatever reason we kind of exceeded our limit with that, so we couldn't get the extra track that we had for the record on the disc. So they said, okay, well then we'll do this as a CD only release, and at least it's a CD only release, and obviously that helps. Hopefully physical copy, because at the end of the day we do like selling physical copy. As musicians, it definitely helps us when we're talking about our royalties for the songs, because whenever you sell an entire record, you get royalties from each of those songs that are sold on the record, right? So it helps us out as musicians. Again, we don't get paid a lot. We make very, very little money. Any money that we make goes back into this band, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's a good thing. And I really like physical copy a lot more, man. I'm here to tell you, I will testify. It's going to go album, vinyl, as far as sonically sound for me, vinyl, CD, and then other, because there's just so much information. For one thing, the record for me is it just got that analog warm sound that's just phenomenal. But then going to CD, it's got so much more ability to have more information on it, and I just think it just sounds so much better, man. Going through speakers than MP3s and stuff, man. So I urge people to buy a physical copy. I mean, enjoy it on YouTube and and the previews and all that other good stuff and all that. But at the end of the day, nothing beats the sound that you're going to get from physical copy.
And you can't sign an MP3.
That's true. I mean, if you dump stuff down on, if you buy stuff and you dump it down to a flash drive, I'll sign the flash drive. I have no problem with that. Be great.
If that happens, I need to know.
Hey, it could happen. You never. Hey, man. Whenever people hand me a drumstick and hey, can you sign this? I'm like, A, it's a drumstick, but B, how the hell do you sign a drumstick? And I've signed a lot of drumsticks, so a flash drive probably wouldn't be completely unusual.
But I hope you had a nice new Sharpie for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Get real tight in there. One of those like fine point.
So like let's see, because we're like I said earlier, we're like a 3 records in on RP on Rock of Angels records,
Yep,
and
yep.
it's also your third record with Camille, your cover artist. Where did you find him?
Yeah, so kind of cool. Camille actually did some art for um, John back in the day with some Ice Stir stuff. He started out as a fan artist, and he did some stuff for them. And he's really been, kind of like he was sending me stuff and doing all kinds of stuff. He actually sent me a really amazing painting of Batman. He knows I'm a Batman fan, so he sent me a painting of Batman as a gift, and that was really freaking cool because he lives in Poland, and it's a lot to send a painting, from Poland to the U.S. But yeah, so we and I just love his work, man, because it's just so dark. It has it it's like and I kind of I was talking to him, and he's doesn't have the best English. Sometimes I don't either, but so we're chatting back and forth via email and things like that. And I told him, I like, man, I really like your stuff. It really reminds me like Simon Bisley, and I am really a big fan of his because it's really starts, Simon Bisley and again Frank Frazetta, guys like that start in the darkness and then add light coming forward. That's their style, and I really love that because it plays with shadow and everything like that. And so Camille just struck me as that kind of artist, and he really is, and he's got a really cool eye for things, and so just love his work. And I was like, hey man, love to work with you. And so when we did Well of Souls, he agreed to do the record, and he did more than he did the album cover. He did like pieces of art for each of the songs, and it was amazing. And it was a lot of work though. It took him a long time, man. And he's a phenomenal artist, and we've just had a really good relationship. This record, he was only able to do a couple pieces for us. He couldn't do for each song, but because he's a busy guy, but we were just happy to have him on this one because I think it's really important to have that kind of that thread that weaves through each record, and I think the art helps that as well. I mean, we do it with the thematics of the songs as well. Some of the themes that we have tend to intertwine with each record and so on and so forth. But I think it's real important to kind of create that just kind of create that universe, kind of create something that's kind of larger than just one record. You're creating a band and a vibe, and I think that's really important for us.
I agree on that. And then it's like I'm also like a big comic book fan too. So like yeah, like you give me like I remember like years ago Megadeth did, I think it was like called the Cryptic Writings of Megadeth. They put out a comic book, like a 4-issue comic book, and like they had like short stories based on like every song they could stick in those
Yeah.
4 issues. And it's like I feel
Yeah.
like you guys aren't far from doing something like that. I feel like you're definitely a comic book guy. So it's like what are we reading nowadays?
Well, pretty much anything. I really enjoy, the darker side of Marvel, obviously, but then again, you got the Vertigo stuff is really cool too, the DC stuff. So I don't know. I'm typically kind of drawn to the darker characters, which is kind of obvious in our song choices and the characters that we represent, because I just think that they go really well with heavy metal and vice versa. And so on this record, we're celebrating, one of my favorites, Ghost Rider. He's been one of my favorites since I was a kid, in the '70s. Picking out comics from a local hardware store that we had here. I remember, well, heck, man, I remember Ghost Rider was huge with me, and then the first introduction of Blade with Tomb of Dracula was really. I thought Blade was an amazing character. I was like, yes, a guy that kills vampires, because at that time, so my fascination with vampires also goes through all these records because like each record has a vampiric song in it. But that started out as a young kid. I was deathly afraid of vampires, and so back then, whenever I saw Blade in the comic books, I was like, yes, okay, he's a vampire, but he kills bad vampires, so I'm definitely down with that. And so that was cool. And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I like, man. I tend to go towards the kind of the darker characters and things like that. And but then again, then there's a Superman song, so you never know. You never know which way I'm going. But yeah, we'll continue that trend as well. I mean, hey, I'm a fan. I like the genre of comic books and comic characters, and I think that there's a lot of it's the kind of the modern day myths and monsters. You know what I mean? It's just really it's certainly a part of Americana for sure. Me growing up in the 70s and 80s, and it's just really was a big part of my life. And I think it's something to be celebrated. And so, this is my outlet to do it.
I hear you on that one. I'll say like for Ghost Rider, it's like, yeah, like you're a Johnny Blaze guy. I was a 90s kid, so like Danny Ketch was my Ghost Rider. So it's like, oh,
Nice.
like
Nice.
so it's like I appreciate, like I love that whole Midnight Suns era. They did those crossovers in the 90s. Like those
Yeah.
were some other that was like peak stuff, and I feel like they're just trying to chase that dragon and try to get to that again. And it's like they just can't commit
I hope
to
so.
get it done.
I hope, yeah. Well, I hope they decide to do that cinematically. I mean, I think that would be pretty dope, man. For sure, especially since they've introduced certain characters in there, and they're playing with the idea again of bringing like Ghost Rider back and things like that. I mean, I did like the Nick Cage version of it, but I can definitely see where they could go a little less campy on it in certain aspects of it. But we'll see how it goes, man. It's tough, man. And I think like for one thing, I really want to see more Blade movies, but man, Wesley Snipes just crushed it from the beginning, and that to me, that movie was to me the start of the MCU. I know a lot of people give it to give it to certain other characters, but I think that Blade just made kind of pushed it on through and really made Marvel an amazing thing. And then of course Spider-Man came after that, and yada yada. But that was big. That was a really big movie and a really important time. And I think it snuck up on people because most people didn't even know who the hell Blade was, but I did. But most moviegoers didn't know, and then they were like, "Oh, damn, this is a comic character! Wow, that's amazing." So anyway, I think they can do something really cool with it, but we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I hope I hope for more of the darker, yeah, because I think it was like that first Blade was New Line Cinema, so it had that more horror feel to it. And yes, I agree that first Blade movie was the start of the Marvel franchise. You want to call it MCU, don't call it MCU, whatever. Blade started it, because if you watch Blade and then you watch Blade 2, certain effects got tried out there. And
Oh
by
yeah.
the time they did Spider-Man 2, those same effects that they were doing in Blade were there perfected. So I felt he
Well,
was like the guinea pig for everything.
and the other ironic part is, who directed Spider-Man? Sam Raimi. I mean, master of horror. So you know what I mean? It's like they took all those things and all those like the Sam Raimi a lot of the things that he was using back in Evil Dead. I mean, he was using those same techniques to kind of gather stuff for Spider-Man. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool. There's a whole bunch, and then of course, that the full circle with Sam Raimi doing Doctor Strange. That was really cool too, because I really like Raimi as a director as well, and I'm a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro as well, who did Blade 2,
I
which
strongly, yeah. Blade 2 was amazing, and I love the Strain too, but
yeah.
that's a whole separate show.
Oh, dude, yes, yeah, Train was badass for sure.
Yeah.
Creepy and shit.
Yeah, so we're gonna stay on comics for a second. I'll just give you since you like vampires, I'll give you Image comic called Philadelphia. It's really cool historical. It's like historical-ish. It's like cops and the vampires are like early presidents, like the founding fathers of vampires. So they meet up in modern day, and it's like 30 some odd issues so far. They're just coming off a break soon, but there's like 3 or 4 collections you could find right now. Philadelphia from Image, and since like I love Image for years, and you guys clearly love Image because also, they also put out Spawn, and Spawn has showed up in one of the later issues of Philadelphia, and it is kind of cool to
Really?
see that we're getting a Dark Saga, like
Yeah. Yeah.
anniversary. It's like it kind of all flows together, and I'm kind of excited for that to hear Ashes of Ares' version of this because that's exciting to my ears to see how that's going to sound. I wish I had a passport. I need to renew my passport.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's going to be some. I'm sure there's going to be some video out there somewhere, man, for sure. So you'll be able to hear. Hopefully, it's good sound quality. That's all I'm hoping for. Just something, something good, nice off the desk. That would be fantastic. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Certainly, I think the people are ready for it, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback already from folks. So yeah.
It's your legacy too. So it's like yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? You have you have an ownership to that stuff. It's like, yeah, those are my vocals. You sung and wrote those lyrics, and you're part of you're part of that amazing time. And it's good to see it's celebrated. If it's Ashes, you do whatever you want in my ear. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and that's really what it is, man. I mean, it's a tribute to it's a tribute to the music, man. It's a tribute to the music and tribute to to John who wrote the music, and so we're trying to honor the music, the record, the fans who have kind of stuck by that and held that record up high, for all these years and put it up there with some of the true metal classics, man. So we're really inspired by that, and yeah, the 30th anniversary coming up, I think it's really important to honor it, and yeah, I was proud to be a part of the original recording and the original touring for that record and everything else. So hopefully hopefully we will do it. We will do it the best justice that we can and get out there and perform it in its entirety. And as far as I know, nobody's ever done that, including Iced Earth. So has played the record in full from front to back. So really looking forward to that.
I cannot wait for that. It's coming up. It's a European tour for now, and hopefully we'll get some stateside shows because I've been itching to see you on stage again.
Yeah, man, it would really be great to do that, and obviously if we can, we will. Sometimes it's a money thing. It costs a lot to tour, and so we got to make sure that we got our bases covered locally at local venues and things like that. So, but if we can make it happen, we will definitely try to do so. So hopefully we can get some feedback from some local folks, and if they want us to come, then we'll make it happen.
I'm hoping for the best because it's been too damn long since you've been stateside on a stage.
Yes, I agree.
Let me see. Yeah, so who's in the lineup nowadays? Because I remember when it was Dean and Charlie and everybody else. So who's filling out the lineup?
Well, it's as far as in the from the U.S. right now, it's me and Freddie, obviously, and Charlie Koenig, who's been a long time touring partner with the band. He's a good friend of ours from the Boston area, and we have some. Can't really say from Europe at this point, but some of our European brothers are going to help us out over there, and we'll be announcing all that pretty darn soon.
Cool. Because I was like, who is it? It was bugging me like looking around. I was like, wait a minute, they're not saying, is it I wasn't sure if it was not say like an all-star, whoever it is. I'm sure it's going to be like some.
I mean, they're awesome musicians. And so they're friends. I'm not going to say we're not the all-star band or anything like that, but it's they're friends of ours who are going to rock out with us, so it'll be fun.
Gotcha. So I'll say this: it's like I want to just thank you early before I forget, because your old version of Deep Purple, Burden for You, like you kind of like made me remember that band because I kind of forgot about sorry, not Deep Purple, Blue Oyster Cult.
Blue Oyster Cult, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of forgot about Blue Oyster Cult, and then I was like, and I still listen to like your music, like, and I was like, oh man, I love that cover record was like a great, just like so many great renditions of classic songs, and like your Burning for You was just like, wow, this is this is just beautiful. It was like one of the most beautiful covers I've heard, and it made me do a deep dive into Blue Oyster Cult, and I was like, they have so many bangers out there, and I was impressed by like, why have I not heard this sooner? I should have heard these songs. Besides "Don't Fear the Reaper," there's so many more wonderful songs that they've done. And I was like, and
Yes.
albums, I was so they blow me away. Even every time I listen to them, I was like, ah.
Yeah, it's cool, man, and I think that's I think that's a really good byproduct, obviously, of doing cover songs, introducing people to songs that maybe they wouldn't have either heard otherwise, by us doing them. Maybe fans of ours or younger fans or what have you that are just in a certain genre of metal or rock or whatever, hearing something and going, I didn't realize this is a cover song. Let me go back and listen to the original, and then so on. And because I think ultimately these are the things that a lot of the bands that were on that record, or the songs that we covered, are bands that inspired. They're bands that inspired us as musicians, and it's really really important to spell that out to people and say, hey, this is these are the folks that inspired us, and there are kind of over the gambit, what you would consider maybe rock, hard rock, heavy metal. It's kind of all over the place. Probably even more of them. Probably even more songs on the record. It's maybe half and half, but between rock and what you would consider rock and roll and what you would consider heavy metal. But at the end of the day, all those bands inspired. And kind of the same thing goes for us. If we're doing a tribute, like on this record on New Messiahs, we did a tribute to Sir Elton John. You can't deny the amount of influence that the man has had on the rock genre. It's just obvious. So, there are so many songs that he's done. Now, maybe it's, the stuff is not, maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but the inspiration is there, and he's done a lot for rock and roll. And so I thought it was really cool. Freddie was the one that really wanted to do the tribute to Sir Elton, and of course I was 100% behind my writing partner. And I love Elton John music. I grew up listening to it, and so obviously he's inspired a lot of people, and so I thought it was really cool to do a tribute to him on this record, and we had a good time doing it. So kind of making it our own.
Oh yeah, you totally did. It's like, yeah, besides like the bass line, that bass line is just a groove and bass line, and like you guys just bring this, like you just like metalize like the swing of it. It's like the song is like, oh, it's metal, like this is metal, and it's just like swinging, and it's like it's really it's a really fun cover.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we got to play around with it. Obviously, Freddie did a really cool job, I think, of translating between what would have typically been a piano heavy song, or what is a piano heavy song, to a guitar heavy song, and really did some cool stuff with that. We tried to, I played around a little bit with the chorus to make it not quite so poppy, but make it still flow and have a good groove to it. And yeah, I mean, the subject matter alone is kind of, one of the driving forces. I think the subject matter is really important. It's about addiction and overcoming addiction and things like that. And I think that's really a huge thing. It's a good message, and it kind of fits in with what we do. So
yeah, and I feel like, there's so many people in our scene that do struggle with substance and addiction problems. So it's a nice way, without being overly preachy for some people. It's like, it's a nice way to say, hey man, there's help there if you need it.
Yeah, and it is a positive thing. It's like, you can overcome. I think that's the for me, that's the main message of the song. It's a tough road, but it can be accomplished.
Yeah, well, I agree with that one. Yeah, totally agree. Let's see. Yeah, I got a couple more for you, man. I really appreciate your time. Let's see, try to hammer these last few out. I was like, yeah, so like once I listened to after I listened to this record, I just had like one note. I was like, oh man, I wish we had like a Monsters Lament Part 2 with Stu, because I think it would have been cool to hear you and Stu go back and forth.
Yeah. Stu's got a really good voice, man. He does some really cool stuff with his voice.
Yeah, and Like I just want to like gush on that song for a minute, and it's like I thought you and Tim sounded like badass. That was like amazing. That was that made me giddy because I do often A and B like your songs that you both recorded together, and it's like oh I find it cool like how he interpreted your Something Wicked songs and how you had to interpret his songs that he created
Right.
and see your take on it like a
Yes.
Charge to Keep. A Charge to Keep is like one of my favorite songs, and it's like oh here's Tim's approach and here's your approach, and like it's like two Christmases for me.
Yeah, and that's fun, man. And that's I think that's the cool thing about it too, man, is that you do understand and realize like obviously Tim has a very unique voice. As soon as you hear Tim, you know it's Tim, right? And I hope that that's the same with me, right, wrong, or indifferent, So and then when you have the two of us together, you've got that cool thing, like you're saying, and I know what you mean, like doing the A and B back and forth from our different recordings, but that's also kind of like with that song, it's an A and B. We're playing two different characters in that song, and I in that song I get to be the complete asshole in the song. You're welcome, Tim. You get to be the good guy in the song. That's fine. But it was fun, man, and all credit to Freddie, man. That Freddie wrote that song front to back. He had laid out the dialogue, how it was going to go, and how it played with the music, and so again, that's a tribute to Freddie and to Tim and to me. I guess we all three collaborated to make that one really really cool song, and we're really proud of it. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to like catch that track, and of course it's like 11 minutes long. It has to be that long.
Yes, obviously,
Yeah.
obviously.
So let's see. I have one last comic book question for you. Do you ever plan on do you ever plan on writing a comic book one day?
Um, I don't know. I might maybe I'll try to write something with my son. My son's more the writer, so and I think that he really wants to write a comic book. So I just need to get it. We need to get an artist though. That would be the important thing. I mean, yes, the words are important, and the idea, the concepts are important, but the pictures are really really important too with a comic, right? So yeah, it
I
would be
agree.
it would be tough. I mean, I would love to do something, a collaboration with music and all that. But again, it's more again, it costs, and I have no idea as far as the publishing stuff and how all the costs involved in that. But I certainly know it takes a lot of time to put something like that together and money, and so that might be a tough one unless I can figure out how to have our record label help us out with that one. We'll see. Maybe we can do that. Maybe if we save them a little bit of money on some videos, we can do some comics.
Yeah, there's a couple comic book companies there's one called Z2E2 that does a lot of like music artist comic books basically. It's like oh yeah, it's written by this musician and he's got his own little comic book. They put out the Guar comic books. They put out stuff from
Oh, nice.
yeah, from all the other like metal bands and like little rap acts. They put out a lot of cool stuff from Spirit Box to I can't remember anybody else right this second. But yeah, it's out there. Z2 Comics, They do some really good stuff. Just yeah, you've got like a history, bro. It's like you could say, yeah, you've been in this industry since over 30 years. And it's like, what is one of the bigger things that you noticed that has changed? What's the biggest change for you in the last 30 years of music?
Well, I mean, I think obviously the biggest change for the industry was is during my time, my introduction, and I kind of got in there late a little bit to actually make money on records, but that's certainly a big change in the industry with the internet the way it is and all that, and I know it's a controversial subject, but at one point, artists made money. They sold records and they made money on selling those records because you get X amount of dollars per record sold and so on and so forth. And those days are kind of gone because there's a lot of pirating and a lot of just people putting music out there, and so it's the artists don't make so much money because at the end of the day, the record company, they're producing the physical product and they're promoting and all that. They have to make money to be able to do all that. So that's kind of where it stops. And that's fine if you're a guy like me who does this for the love of it, and it doesn't isn't relying on it to make a living. But that definitely was something that changed in the industry during my tenure, and you could definitely see the things changing, because it used to be people would tour to support a record. Now people make records to support a tour. To say, hey, we're getting ready to start a new tour. Here's a new record, and then stay on the road for 9 months. They didn't have to do that before. They could just tour for a month in Europe, month in the U.S., month somewhere else, and kind of be done. They would tour on, and that would be what they did, because they would make money on the records, and it would stabilize things, and you could go back. That's just changed now. The live shows are where the money's at, and you really have to be out there and be dedicated, and to some degree, I think it works out really well for some people. But for others, it can be also very much a burden, because when you're on the road, you're not with your family. When you're on the road, you're not at home. You're not taking care of family business and things like that. And it really, I don't want to say I saw the writing on the wall, but I kind of did see the writing on the wall, and so kind of spurred going somewhere else and doing something different with my life. And because of that, I have been afforded the opportunity to watch my kids grow, be home and be present, and not be not out there living that road life. So as much as it's painful for people to not see see a band, or maybe see me out touring and all that other good stuff, just know that it was a sacrifice, and I appreciate your sacrifice, so that I could stay home with my kids and watch them grow up.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Keep On Walking. It's like the song, I was listening to that song and I'm watching the video, and I think that's like such a heartfelt, it's definitely like it's a love letter to your children. It's a love letter to, if you're a parent, you understand. I'm a parent. My kids I'm retired now. Like I have a 19-year-old and a 23-year-old. So like I am
Nice.
done. So I was like, wee!
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I got now mine are 19 and 17. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And it's like, I appreciate that. Like, I was like, part of me was like, I wish this song wasn't on the record. I feel like, even though I feel like it's more for them. It's like, oh, like they should just give this to, like, the day you pass away. It's like, hey, dad left us free, and I feel like it should just, like, part of me felt like it should be like that, but he gave it to us all, and it's like, oh man, it's very sweet seeing like all the photos, and I just thought it's very touching. It was a very touching song in tribute to your family and to parents. Period.
Yes, 100%. That's yes. It was written purely from a parent's point of view, and hoping, and I know that you feel the same way. Hopefully that all the lessons that we pass on will be passed on with them, and they can share those lessons with their children, and so on and so forth. I think that's how we go. We travel through time, and that's how we pass on our legacy. So ultimately, right?
Yeah. My thing is just try to stay healthy, make sure I stretch, like make sure I work in production. So it's like, hey,
Yes.
make sure I can still touch my toes and put my hands above my head. Cause I learned, like, yeah, once a lot of older folks, they don't reach up high anymore. Like,
yes.
And I was like, wow. And it's like, you lose that mobility. And it's like, you could be young and spry all day. And it's like, I refuse to, like, break my back or lose that mobility. Cause like, I want to keep up with my kids and maybe future grandkids. I don't know what's the future holds, but I just want to make sure that I'm not burdening anybody with anything.
Yes, obviously, yeah. We certainly don't want to be a burden, and that's, yeah. I mean, I got my certain creaks and things when I get up, and I I start to feel, okay, maybe I am this age, but we certainly don't like to admit that, right?
No, and then for a lot of people, again, it's sonically, your voice sounds just as strong as it ever did. So it's like, oh, like, unless maybe I might hear something different, but it's like, oh, I could put this record next to an earlier record. Your bass and your voice sounds just as good, and your highs sound in pitch. Is that the right in pitch? Is that a right word?
Yes. Yes. Hopefully, hopefully they are in pitch. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. That's I try, and obviously that another good byproduct recording the way that we do is that, if I'm not having a good day, then I just don't record. And then I'll go out there in my studio when I am having a good day, and I, do a bunch of tracks. So that's kind of the cool thing about being able to track stuff in my home studio.
Like home studios are the best. Like the best thing from the pandemic was it just democratized everything. Now everybody, but for better or worse, everybody could get a microphone, which is great, but everybody could get a microphone, which isn't the best all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's not the microphone's fault. It's just the stuff that comes out of people's mouths sometimes. Right. Yeah. And that's the other side of it too. I was talking about the pitfalls and the downfalls of the internet and, music and, being, taken and, all that other good stuff. But on the upside, because of the way that Freddie and I write music together, that's the upside of the internet and being able to share, send those files back and forth and being able to write music, living on opposite sides of the country. So, with everything, there, you can always look for the silver lining, right? So that, I guess that's the silver lining for us, is that we can, in the comfort of our own studios, we can create music and share it back and forth across the country.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like I know I appreciate bands that can still do it the old fashioned way and like get together in a jam room and jam, because there's something fun and magical about that too sometimes, but sometimes necessity is the way it is the way it is because of life. Yeah, and I gotta say, man,
Yep.
I gotta give you some more. It's impressive and admirable that you're able to stop touring and start a whole new career. I know the timing of the world at that time was, the 9/11 time, and it's like roughly around the same time, and it's like, yeah, we've all heard the stories about the glorious burden. It's like, yeah, no, like one day I hope I hear the Matt Barlow version, because I'm so curious to see how you did those songs. But to go from that to I want to do my family life, and you didn't do it in a selfish way. Like I've hung out with you a few times over the years, like month, and it's like it's not. Like some people, there's like no resentment to you. There's no resentment towards like your family. Like, it's like, I did this for you guys. I stopped. I could have been a rock star. You get the ego. It goes back to ego. It's like the fact that you don't have an ego and you're able to continuously put out music over the last 20 years and maintain a full-time career. Not everybody has that. I would say the job that's with the flexibility to do that. And I think that you're a fucking stand-up guy, bro.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And my wife says that she won't let my ego get too inflated. So I'm sure you probably met my wife when we were on tour. I think she was probably our merch girl.
Yeah, when you were on tour with one of the, if you were with, yes. Yeah, we all hung out at Webster Hall, and wherever Dean took us somewhere.
Dean took us somewhere. Lord knows where Dean took us.
Yeah, but man, like, dude, like, yo, bro, I really appreciate your time. And again, it's like, yes, reading, like, it's like, I just, it's like, yeah, I kind of have to just touch on it briefly. I don't really want to get into it, but it's like, yeah, I appreciate you guys you and your wife. You guys are in a very interesting awkward spot, and I feel like people like come at you sometimes. I've seen comments left and right, it's like, and I was like, that's why I'm like, don't read the comments, because I feel like it's an awkward spot for you guys. It's like people are like, yo, that's your boy, and it's like, and you're like, yo, I'm not my brother's keeper, but at the same time, it's like you've also been, you've said nice words about him, and it's like, people do what they do, and if he's a Jesus guy now, hey, more power to him. I hope, he's better, and, things, I'm sure he's still a great uncle, and it's just a weird spot, and I don't want to say anything. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to do a gotcha or anything. I just think it's just an interesting spot to be in for you abstractly, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand people's opinions and things like that. But at the end of the day, he's family. And I love him, man. And hopefully, I will support him. Hopefully, things are well for everybody, and hopefully we live in a world that redemption is a possibility.
It's not. We're doomed.
Yeah. pretty
I
much.
I have to believe in redemption because like it's like I learned like when I made my first trip to we're gonna wrap this up really soon, but it's like I went to Norway and like I hung out with them and they took me on like this like heavy metal tour. So we went to the mayhem places where all this stuff happened and we talked about him. We talked about the dude from Emperor and the stabbing and everything. We talked about all this stuff and it was like, oh yeah, we have jail time here is like 21 years and we then they could always re-up, but they don't want you. They kind of educate you. They really believe in rehabilitation, and it's like, wow, like yeah, they didn't want you to go back to jail once you get out of there. They work to make sure you don't reoffend here. And I was like, man, I wish we did more like they did to take care of people who go in, because sometimes people go in by stupid mistakes, and then some people just, hey man, some
Sure.
people just need that support to like better themselves. And it's like, hey man, like yeah, we all make mistakes. I feel there's not enough. It's all nope, you fucked up once, that's it, and like you're done. Like
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not something even in my career that I'm in now. I've had these conversations with people that I've had to do my job right, and I tell them, hey man, don't let this be your defining moment. This is not the only thing. Just learn from this, man, and move on. It's okay. And hopefully, I think that there are certainly other people in my profession that are sympathetic in that way as well. And that goes from, all the way from frontline law enforcement to corrections. So I think that there is a definite, even though we're not always given the props for it, for being community policing, and that includes every member of our community, and that's a really important part of it, man. I think that we have to as humans live in a world where redemption is possible. Otherwise, we're doomed, like my wife says eloquently.
She is 100% right. You're both 100% right. It's I joke at it like, oh, you're a kid. It's like, hey, remember when you were a kid? It's like, oh, you made these decisions when you were a kid. It's like, hey, I want to be an astronaut. And it's like, hey, you're 35 now. You're not an astronaut. I should treat you like an astronaut your whole time. And it's like, come on. You're allowed to grow and change your mind. The person you were 5 years ago isn't the person you are today. The person you were in 97 isn't the person you are today.
Correct.
So it's like you have to give people room to grow and change. So, it's like, hey, I'm all for redemption and everything. And hell, it's like, selfishly, it's like, oh, Ice Turf has released Tim Owen's, live albums recently. And I was like, finally, I felt like he was missing. I felt that was missing of like live recordings of him besides YouTube. And I was like, oh, finally I get to hear him like in a better sound setting. And I feel like, to me, it's like, oh, because like I do like these videos of like, discography videos, and like, yeah, Ice Turf is on the list, and it's like I have to like I love it. It's like, yeah, like I still like rock Ice Turf to this day. It's like I'm never gonna stop listening to it, So I do to separate from artists to whatever, you can separate, but you're not hurting kids. There's forgiveness. I'll put it that way.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. So I'll wrap this up. But thank you for your time, Ro. I appreciate you. I appreciate your wife for letting me steal you away for a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. She gets it. She gets it. And the more I'm talking comic book stuff with you, the less I'm talking comic book stuff with her. So she appreciates that I have that outlet.
All right. Mr. Matt Barlow, thank you for your time, brother. It's been a great time chatting with you tonight.
Thanks, man.
Ashes of Ares' new album, New Messiahs, is out now on Rock of Angels Records. And don't forget to catch the band on a European festival tour in September and October, doing the Ice Earth classic album, The Dark Saga, for its 30th anniversary. Well, you kids enjoy the rest of your night. It was a pleasure, and yeah, I'll talk to you sooner or later. Thank you for your time, Matt.
All right, brother. Look forward to it, man.